something I've seen here in the last 4 or 5 years that people are having major issues with is constantly customers are calling me. They're saying our pool's green, we've put $350 in this thing, it's been 6 months and my pool's still green. That should not be happening. And let me tell you why that probably is happening. The biggest issue I see with this is their pool's green, they're taking it to a local pool company, and the pool company is testing their water with an electronic system, which is very accurate, they're very good, but here's the deal. The electronic system, you know, even when I used to work in a pool store years ago and I tested water, there's no test that you can do for algae. You can't test the water for algae. You basically look at the customer and you go, how does your pool look? Is it green? Yes. Then you have algae in it. Is it clear? No. Then you don't have algae. But you can't test that. And an electronic test is not going to be able to test that either. Okay? So what's happening is the electronic test is testing your water and it's seeing what your water is lacking chemical-wise. And it's telling you to put in X amount of chlorine to get your chlorine back to where it's supposed to be. But if your pool is green, all that contamination is requiring more chlorine to get it to that point. And that's why this thing's dragging out for you. That's why it's been 6 months and you've put a whole bunch of chlorine in there over and over and over and over and nothing's happening, okay? Because the test can't test whether your pool's green or not. And when it's green, you have to make more extreme measures to get this out. Let me explain it to you this way. Putting a pound of chlorine in your pool every day for 7 days is not near as effective as putting 7 pounds of chlorine in your pool at one time. Let me explain it to you this way. If your house was to catch on fire, you wouldn't go there and put out the kitchen, you know, put the fire out in the kitchen, and then come back the next day and put the fire out in the living room. Then come back the next day and put the fire out in the garage. That's not what you're going to do. That fire is going to reproduce so quickly, your house is going to burn to the ground. What you would want to do is douse the house with water really quick, a whole bunch of water, and completely smother the fire out. That is exactly what's happening with algae. If your pool's green, it's requiring a certain amount of chlorine to suffocate it, to kill all the algae that's in the pool. If you only throw 1 pound in and come back the next day, that algae, it's going to kill some of the algae, but not all of it. And overnight, this algae is going to reproduce and your pool is going to look the same when you wake up the next day. So the whole idea is you want to hit it really hard, one hard time. And if you do that, you're going to clear it up, okay? So here's the trick with it. What you're wanting to do is put in 3 to 4 times the normal amount of chlorine. For instance, if you would shock your pool's clear, let's say you're on a chlorine level system, and you go out and you shock your pool once a week with 1 pound of chlorine when your water's clear. If your water's green, you're going to want to hit this with 3 or 4 pounds and at one shot. What that's going to do is raise your chlorine level higher than your contamination level. And it's going to smother all your contamination out, and it's going to clear your pool up, get all the algae out of there, and then there's going to be no algae living in your water that can reproduce, and your pool's going to start to clear up. Okay? So that's the trick. You need to hit it hard, and you need to hit it at one time. Okay? Like I said, 7 pounds of chlorine at one shot is hundreds of times more effective than 1 pound of chlorine every day for 7 days. Now, keep this in mind. Chlorine is a toxic chemical. If you're going to put a whole lot of chlorine in your pool at one time, you might not be able to swim for a couple days. You know, basically what's going to happen is, let's say in that scenario where you're putting in 7 pounds. Let's say the algae basically is requiring 5 pounds. You put in 7. That 5 pounds is going to get eaten up and go away because it's getting used up, killing your algae. You're going to have 2 pounds of chlorine left in there and some residual chlorine. Your chlorine level is going to be high. You might not be able to swim in the pool for a couple days. The best thing to do is try not to let your pool get green, okay? Because a lot of times over-chlorinating your pool in this fashion, it can fade your liner a little bit. It can create some issues. It's not something you want to do all the time. I'm not telling you let your pool turn green every week and then hammer it with a bunch of chlorine. If this happens over and over and over again, you're going to end up killing your liner. You're going to end up messing up plastic components of the filter system and your skimmer and your return. You don't want to do that. But if you're in that situation and your pool's green for whatever reason, this is how you clear it up, okay? And then once you get it cleared up, try to keep this thing clean and try not to let it get green. Because like I said, I'm telling you to basically over-chlorinate your pool, which is what's going to help you, but you don't want to do this all the time. You're going to end up, really fading your liner and destroying components. Doing it one time, doing it 2 times over the course of a pool's life and stuff, you're fine. It's no big deal. But it's not something you don't want to get yourself in this situation 5 times every season, okay? Now, let me walk you through what you're going to experience. There's very seldom a truth in that your pool's green, you shock it real hard, you wake up the next day and your pool's clear. That's not really how it works. The process of clearing up a green pool is this. It goes from green to cloudy to clear. Now let me explain to you why that is. First of all, you got a bunch of green algae in your pool. That's why your water's green. Algae is a plant. It contains a chemical called chlorophyll, which is the same chemical that turns plants green. What's going to happen is when you shock it, and you raise your chlorine level real quick, it's going to dissolve the cells of the algae. And once it breaks down and dissolves that cell, it's going to dissolve the chlorophyll within that algae. So it's going to take away the green color of the pool. But when you wake up the next day after giving your pool a good strong shock, it's probably not going to be clear. It's going to be very cloudy. And that's actually a good sign. What you want to do is shock that pool and have your water turn cloudy. What you want is no green. You just want cloudiness. The cloudiness is coming from the fact that you still have the algae in the water, but it doesn't have any chlorophyll in it. So now it's not green, but it's still in the water and it's causing it, you basically got a bunch of dead algae carcass in your water. That's causing your water to be cloudy, okay? Now, once this cloudiness comes in, you can get a flock and it helps it clear up a little quicker. A lot of times what I do is, I do like flock. If you're having a party for the weekend, you can put in a flock and it'll help clear it up a little bit quicker. But usually, once you chlorinate your pool properly, to shock it to begin with to kill this algae, it's going to turn your pool cloudy, but there's going to be enough chlorine in there that over the course of a few days, it's going to end up dissolving this algae carcass out, and your pool's going to end up clearing up, okay? So keep in mind that if your pool is green, especially extremely green, it's going to be a 2, 3, 4 day process until it actually gets clear, okay? 2 other things. If you have a lot of debris in the pool, a lot of leaves, pine straw, whatever the case may be, try to clean that stuff out as good as you can before you shock it. Because what's going to happen is when you put that shock in and you got, a whole bucket of leaves down in the bottom of your pool, what the chlorine's going to try to do is it's going to try to eat away those leaves, and it's not going to try to eat away the algae. It's going to try to it goes basically to the biggest contamination first. So you don't have to get every leaf out of your pool. Don't break your neck on it. But you want to try to get out as much as you possibly can. Now, people go, well, my pool's so green I can't see the bottom. Well, you're going to have to get in there and just move by faith on this thing and try to clear out as much as you can, okay? Once you think you got it to that point, now you're ready to shock your pool. Another thing, Before you shock your pool, make sure your baskets are nice and clean. To clear up a green pool, you need two things. You need chemicals, the proper chemicals, and enough chlorine to do it, and you need good filtration. You have to have both of those. If you don't have good filtration but you put in a lot of chlorine, it's not going to work. If you have excellent filtration but you don't put in enough shock, it's not going to work. You got to have them working hand in hand. So what I recommend you do is clean your filter out real good. You know, if it's cartridge, wash it off real good. If it's a sand filter, backwash it real good. Then put your chlorine in. Run your pump for 24 hours a day until your pool's cleared up. Again, if you're not running your pump, you're not circulating your water. This is a situation where you want to run your pump for 24 hours a day until this thing clears up. I also recommend you to clean your filter at least once a day, if not twice a day. What that's going to do is, once you kill this algae, it's going to start getting clogged up in your filter. It's going to start lowering your pressure and lowering your filtration. If you're not getting good filtration, it's going to extend how long it's going to take to clear your pool up, okay? So if you go out there every day and you backwash your filter, you do it in the morning before you go to work, you even do it when you come home at night, you're keeping your filtration at maximum optimization, and you're going to end up clearing up this pool a lot quicker for you, okay? All right, so that's what you need to do now on if your pool is going to turn green on you.